Welcome to the Home Business Success Show. Join us as we speak to home business entrepreneurs for tips, tricks, do's, and even don'ts for running a successful home business. Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Success Show. I'm your host, Hank Eder, also known as Hank the PR Guy. Well, folks who run home businesses have some great advantages, but they also face some unique challenges. And as we speak to home business entrepreneurs on the show each week, we'll get a look at do's and don'ts and best practices, things that really work and things that become major time sucks or financial drains for home business entrepreneurs. My guest this week, Michelle Sera, is a business mindset coach and founder of ElevatedMind, and she's the author of the upcoming book, The 7-Minute Shift: Get Out of Your Own Way, Manifest Your Greatest Self, and Grow a Massively Successful Business in as little as 7 minutes a day. Well, that really captures my attention. I would really love to grow an even more massively successful business in just 7 minutes a day. Yeah, so welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Would you please tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So, as you introduced me, I am a business mindset coach. And so I work with people who are building a business, primarily coaches and consultants, but sometimes I get people who have other types of businesses. And generally they're in their first 1 to 3 years, or maybe they haven't even started yet, but they're really close. I hear that a lot. Like, I'm almost there, but they're really struggling with the mindset piece. The doubt, the fear, the worry is really getting in the way of that next goal that they want to reach.
I see. So mindset, I discussed that a little bit on a show recently with Joe Navarra, and he was saying that mindset is one of the most difficult things to keep on top of, especially if you're trying to do business while you've got some things going on that maybe would set you back a little bit, like personal issues like divorce, or you're needing to move in 2 weeks because your landlord just decided to sell the place. Would you tell us why you think mindset is a really important aspect for business?
Absolutely. So, in all of my years, my background is heavy in marketing, and I've been behind the scenes of some really big name companies, multi-million-dollar companies. And during that time, I coached not only did I work in the marketing, but I coached in the marketing for these companies' clients. And during that time, I coached over 900 people, and I could see this pattern that it didn't matter how much money you had or who you were or your experience or how badly you wanted to succeed. Very few of them actually reached the goals that they wanted to reach in their businesses because of all of this internal dialogue and this worry and this fear and this doubt that they could do it. You and I both know, like, actually doing things, the tasks that are needed for business, really not that hard, right? We can focus and we can get it done, but it's the mastering self that is the biggest hurdle in reaching those goals. And so that's what brought me to the mindset coaching. And I, in particular, work on the vibrational level because I do strongly believe that you create your reality, that you manifest your results. And so that's where I begin, is on the thoughts and the emotions.
Right, because I think that mindset plays a role in what a lot of people call and sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome.
Definitely.
Yeah, people talk about imposter syndrome. What makes me, for example, qualified to go out and teach all these things or to guide people to do certain things.
Right.
But I think many of us, if we look into our backgrounds and gather up our skill sets and see, where we are and where we've been, we actually are quite qualified. But it's that little voice of nagging doubt that sets us in a mindset of, that spins us around and makes us wonder, shall we do, can I really do this?
Exactly. And you just said it, it's rare that I've ever come across someone who actually did not have enough skills to do what they wanted to do. And even that is something that's very easily fixable. It's what you think about day in and day out, every moment of whether you can do this. And that's what stops people. It derails them. Just as you said earlier too, if you have something going on in your personal life, it can very quickly derail momentum that you've built up in your business, right? And so having a daily practice, which is exactly what the 7-minute shift is, allows you to influence your reality more in the direction that you want to, despite what's going on, right? Like it's not a matter of pushing anything away that you need to deal with, but it gives you the tools necessary to keep going forward and kind of put all of that, those thoughts and those emotions that are getting in the way, put them to rest, right?
Right. So these tools take us a little further than just positive self-talk, I would imagine, because sometimes people
Absolutely.
even have trouble with positive self-talk. If they have a negative mindset, they can engage in positive self-talk, but then again, they start feeling again like they are some kind of an imposter because, I'm saying I'm these things, but I don't know if I'm feeling it.
Right. And I mean, the work that I do, one of the things that I say all the time is it's not about being a Pollyanna. Come on, life throws a lot at us, right? It's really about mastering self. And one of those things, for example, is, when it comes to your thoughts, like we know that we all have this very high percentage of the same thoughts every day, day in and day out. And you can get rid of like 60% of those thoughts just by not blaming yourself, not complaining about yourself, and not justifying your actions or inactions. That alone, just being aware of that and conscious of that and quieting that will free up your mind for so much more, which in turn allows you to create a whole lot more.
So you mentioned freeing your mind for a whole lot more. So then I would then make not the assumption, but it would follow to me logically that if you're cluttering your mind up with negative self-talk and doubts and imposter syndrome and all these kind of things, you're not leaving room for creativity, which will take you to the next level and find solutions and problem solving.
Exactly. Think about, I mean, just today alone, all of the technology that we interact with every moment of every day, right? That consumes a part of our brain, a part of our thinking. And then on top of that, all of those emotions and self-talk and thoughts, there's nothing left for you to, one, notice the synchronicities around you, two, receive the inspiration that's coming your way, and three, to take action. You simply don't have the mental energy, right? So one of the things that I work with people is clearing out that mental space so that you have the mental energy to do what you want to do.
You mentioned synchronicities, and I've always been fascinated by this. Sometimes things come at us in clusters,
Mhm.
and if our minds are clear, we might notice them. And if they're coming at us, there's those who believe that they're not coming at us by accident, or it's not just a random kind of, gee, isn't that funny? What can be some
Yeah.
of the advantages that we find in synchronicities?
Synchronicity gives you direction and confirmation and clarity, right? And it's happening all the time around us every day, but we simply don't notice it. And part of that can be if you're kind of stuck in that negative state of mind all the time, what your brain is going to allow in, right? That filtering process is anything to support your current beliefs, right? So you're certainly not going to see the amazing synchronicities that are happening in support of the positive things that you want to happen. So synchronicity alone is a great tool. There's actually multiple studies and multiple books on it that show we can intentionally generate synchronicity, which is really cool.
It is really cool. I remember reading something about a conversation between Freud and Jung about synchronicities and about so-called coincidences. I won't go there right now, but it was very, very fascinating.
Yes,
Very fascinating.
it is fascinating.
Tell us about the elevated mind. What is the elevated mind?
So Elevated Mind is my company, but it's built on this idea that if you focus solely on elevating your state of mind first, I mean, literally, like, that's your only job, right? Is to elevate your state of mind. If you do that first, everything else follows. And, you know, like I said, working with over 900 people and seeing the struggle that they were in their state of mind, that's what led me to begin experimenting with, well, what if we just elevate the state of mind first? And so that's how Elevated Mind came about.
That's something to think about. I used to go to see a band way back in the day when I lived in South Florida. They were called Kepler, and they would do a song by Return to Forever. And I don't remember the name of the song, but it sang, "Open your eyes, you can fly. Open your eyes, you can fly." But before they started the song, you just reminded me of that by saying you have to free your mind first, because before they would do the song, the vocalist would always say, "Free your mind, and your butt will follow." Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't say
Yeah.
but. He didn't say but. However, that was the notion. You have to free your mind first, and then everything else falls into place.
Yeah, and you know that, I mean, the saying "free your mind," really what's happening is we are returning to our natural state that is already there. It's like the phrase, "the cork always floats," right? So it's not necessarily a state that we're chasing after or we want to achieve. It's returning to. And so by removing a lot of these things that we've spoken about already, we can do that.
I like that it's a returning to, because I suppose our natural state is to have our mind free, and our natural state is to be at peace, and
Yes.
so that we can recognize the synchronicities and we can see all the good things that are coming to us.
Absolutely. Our natural state is to be happy. And I'm currently in some studies in happiness. And, the information that what we're learning currently is just mind blowing in terms of happiness and what happiness really is. And how do we create happiness? And again, coming back to, well, we already are actually in a state of happiness if we can simply remove everything else and be that. And in turn, what that allows you to create, coming back to that, having the mental space, right? And what that allows you, how that allows you to succeed is equally mind-blowing, right?
It seems to me that when we're dealing with happiness, that gratitude always has to play a part.
Gratitude and grace are two really big values in happiness. And I had someone say to me recently, like, in explaining grace, it's like watching a leaf fall from a tree, and the leaf falls with grace, and giving yourself grace. And, it's these concepts that we really have to be able to clear the mind to sit with and understand. And a lot for those of us, like, I have been a regular meditator for many, many, many years. But for some people, meditation is really difficult, and it's out of reach right now, at least meditating in a way to achieve that, right? To experience that grace and that gratitude and that peace. And so that's, again, where the 7-minute shift comes in play. It's something much simpler, much quicker, and helps you get to that place maybe then where you can begin to meditate, if you want to.
Which brings me to the idea that I think you should tell us about your upcoming book, and tell us about the 7-minute shift, and tell us a little bit about how we can start practicing the 7-minute shift.
Yeah, for sure. So I went through a certification called Freedom Formula Facilitator. And of course, I'm also becoming certified as a happiness coach. And in those two bodies of work, there are these frameworks that we work with people in. And some of it is based on working with beliefs, right? And reframing. And then, of course, elevating your state of mind, working on that vibrational level so that you are attracting and manifesting more. Now, that's for another call altogether in terms of manifesting. I believe that we are manifesting all the time. It's not something that you can ever turn off. It's just what you are. It's what you do. But what I did is bring together 7 steps that you can, after you go through them a couple of times as a written exercise, you can then begin to do them on a daily basis, just in your head. I do them every day, right? And it helps you to address any negative emotions that are dominating your thoughts today, right? And basically turn those around or release them altogether and elevate your state of mind back to where you would prefer to feel, how you would prefer to feel. And in doing so, open up that space for creating, right? And attracting and manifesting. And so, like I said, in the book itself, the book is an 8.5 by 11 full-size workbook. So you will, if you have the physical book, if you get the physical book, you'll be able to work through it. And if you get the digital version, you'll have a link to be able to download those worksheets. So either way, you'll have the ability to actually work through those each step. And as I said, I recommend going through them as a written exercise twice, and then begin practicing them, just going through it in your head every day, right? On any moment that you feel something is really weighing you down, or you feel that worry, doubt, and fear creep in, right? And before you know it, you'll be going through it super fast.
So, if I am not mistaken, then the 7-minute shift is that each of those steps, as you go through them, when you learn what they are and work with them and then get them to where you can practice them every day, then each one of those steps is a minute of time for the 7-minute shift?
Correct. And you can probably get even faster. Like I've said before, it takes me a little bit less than that now. But yes, exactly. You can do it in as little as 7 minutes. And it's meant to be that quick because I don't want you to think too much about it, right? I want you to go through the steps with and answer them with what comes up immediately, because that's generally what's correct, right? What's accurate. And I want you to be able to move through it quickly so that you can go on with your day, because you will feel immediate results from it, right? And then of course, the long-term effect of that is keeping your vibration at a higher level and what you're attracting and manifesting as a result of that.
So then it doesn't matter what kind of business somebody is in. They can do these shifts. They can do the 7-minute shift and go through these things, and it will improve their mindset, and it'll improve their ability to manifest, and it'll just bring them more good things.
Exactly. It literally will help you shift your results.
Okay. What do you think has been the most challenging part for you of both running your own home-based business and also making these shifts?
Well, doing the work that I do, a big part of that was for myself, right? The internal dialogue and as I've said so many times, the fear, doubt, and worry that comes up, that's been one of my biggest struggles over the years. I'm not somebody who, as I said earlier, is a Pollyanna. I'm not someone who wakes up super happy and chipper, right? I have to work at my state of mind every day. And as I began to do that out of necessity for all of the things that were going on in my personal life at the time, that is part of what led me to this work, is seeing the shift that was occurring in myself and realizing that just as we, exercise our bodies regularly, we also have to exercise our mind in relation to how we feel, that state of mind, right? Every day, regularly at least, right? We have to learn to operate this brain of ours rather than let it operate us.
So that might be the challenge for most of us, to bring our state of mind to where we are not only functional, but happy. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that place of happiness, there are so many things that kind of just fall away. They don't really matter anymore, right? They don't become barriers or roadblocks. And so just by the nature of being able to find that place of being happy and feeling that more often than not, you clear away a lot of the hurdles that you perceive you have right now in your business.
Yeah, it's hard to approach anything from a state other than contentment. Yeah.
Right. I mean, how many times have you experienced when you were super frustrated or stressed out over something in your business and more negative things just began to pile in, right? And that's the nature of it all. So, think about that in terms of if you came at it with that, being in that a happier state, an elevated state of mind, how might that play out?
So, yeah, as they say, and you know who they are, I like to put up my little quotation marks. They say, like attracts like.
Yes.
So, yeah. Tell us how we can get in touch and find out more about you.
Sure, you can go to theelevatedmind.com and you can find me on Instagram as well. I think we're going to have some links for that. On my website, you can download an overview of the 7-minute shift right now. It's just a PDF. I believe I have an audio with it as well. So you're welcome to go and check that out.
Okay, yeah, at theelevatedmind.com.
Yes.
Very, very good. And all contact information would be on there as well.
Yes.
Very good. Anything you want to add before we have to wrap up?
Focus on elevating your mind first. Everything else follows.
Focus on elevating your mind first and everything else follows. Free your mind and your mind will follow.
Yes, yes.
Okay, before we go, I'd like to thank you for being here with us today. And I'd like to remind our listeners that there are a lot of resources available for people who run home businesses, including an online community of like-minded home business entrepreneurs, all dedicated to each other's success, and that is the Home Business Success Community. To find out more about that, or to find out more about what I do, just go to bizradio.us, click on shows, and find my face there. I look almost exactly like I look right here, except I'm wearing a different shirt. Just find that, click on it, and it'll take you to information about the Home Business Success community and some other things that I'm involved in. Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Home Business Success Show at Biz Radio US. And here's wishing all of you an incredible day of home business success.